Shadowverse.
I'm John Wick, and you killed my dog. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. What I actually need to talk about is something a bit more serious, and it's that, unfortunately, ad revenue has been really, really bad these past couple of months, to the point where we are struggling here. So any support that you can offer means more than we can express. We have now memberships available here on Shadowversity, so if you want to join as a Shadowversity Knight, you can. There are, links and buttons where there's a join button. And if you want more flexibility in what you'd like to contribute, if you are willing to contribute, we know not everyone is in a position to do so. We thank everyone just for watching, but if you would like to help us out, it would mean so much. And you have additional options on Patreon, as well as an independent alternative over on Subscribestar and Utreon as well. Genuinely, I can't express how needed it is now more than ever, and how much help these, the donations and the support from our community really are. Thank you to everyone who's supporting, and let's get into this John Wick movie. I don't think there has been anyone more prominently critical of the nunchucks than myself. And so many people have been wondering what my thoughts are of the legendary John Wick whipping out the nunchucks. Man, these are so light. Feels like you're cheating. Anyway, so people have been wondering, what are my thoughts on Mr. Vic? Did someone say it with an accent like that? Something Mr. Like the concierge guy. The actor has passed on, rest in peace. But it's like,
good evening, Mr. Wick.
Is that? I'm probably butchering it. Anyway, John Wick, he uses nunchucks in the most recent iteration, John Wick number 4. And the question is, was it a good choice or not? Well, I have a couple of things to say about it. Not necessarily criticizing how he uses nunchucks in the film. This is something that people kind of miss, even though I say it every time I said it a lot, okay? First video I did on the nunchucks, and multiple times since, nunchucks are fun, flashy weapons, okay? I have always claimed skepticism on how effective they are as a weapon. Not that they couldn't be used to a level of effect, of course you can. Anything you can hit someone particularly hard with will do damage, and so therefore better than nothing. But if the bar for weapon quality is better than nothing, that's not a good qualification for a weapon, because you're basically saying it's pretty much junk. There's so many other weapons, but if you have no other options, you got these, then yeah, so better than nothing, not a good standard to determine if a weapon is good or not. Should be their effectiveness. More so, their effectiveness versus other weapons that you could use in the same situation. But because they are fun and flashy, I think they're a great pick for film and other things like that. And they kind of fall in the same regard as what I look at, say, Jackie Chan when he fights with a stool or a ladder, okay? Are they great weapons? No. But could you use them effectively and in a flashy, fun, entertaining way? Yes. And so, awesome, fun, John Wick gets to beat up people with a weapon that is not as effective as other weapons you might want in the same situation. But this raises an interesting question. What if he did use a different weapon in those situations? The weapons that I've always compared nunchucks against has been the good old stick. And one of the most convenient and portable stick-like weapons that you can take with you is the good old walking stick. And this is actually a self-defense walking stick. Very solid. Well, is there something I can knock it against? Do you hear that? Something clunk, clank, clank. I even have one that's more serious than this. That's solid metal. So, cold steel, if you're wondering, cold steel self-defense walking cane. The advantages of walking canes is that they usually are not illegal. Nunchucks have controlled or regulations in many locations, and their effectiveness is dubious, but a walking stick you can take it with everywhere. So let's find out to see. Have a look at some of the scenes. I don't know, maybe we'll get to look at all more. We'll see how we go, starting with at least some of the scenes, and exchanges John Wick has with the nunchucks to see if he could have achieved the same effect with a stick, or even a better effect. Maybe he won't, okay? Now, in conjunction with look, I have dedicated videos on some of my skepticism of the effectiveness of nunchucks, one of the more significant criticisms I had with nunchucks has been proven scientifically when we've done some tests on. I know for myself, whenever I compare the striking strength of a nunchucks with a stick made of the same wood, similar mass, similar length, sticks always hit harder, and that has been confirmed scientifically. Wushu engineered did some tests specifically when you use two hands on nunchucks. Because of the flexible link, okay, you're only hitting with the mass of this end. You're not able to kinetically link any further mass through the strike, your own body, putting your weight behind it. And though some of the tests, when you're striking one-handed strikes with a nunchuck versus a stick of similar size, they're comparable, but the stick usually has better impulse, which is driving, time it has to drive the force through, which is significant. As soon as you go to two hands, there's no significant increase in power generation using two hands on nunchucks versus one hand on nunchucks. But when you use two hands on a weapon that has actual structure to it, your damage, usually the force you're able to produce goes up by 50%. That is not an insignificant number.
Wielding the flute or stick two-handed essentially increases most of its impact characteristics by 50%. So transitioning from a one to a two-handed grip significantly increases most of its striking characteristics. The nunchaku was much less affected by transitioning from a one to a two-handed usage. The relative increases were far higher in the flute. An increase in apparent mass was only seen in the flute, and that was a 50% increase. No change in apparent mass was seen in the nunchaku. The two-handed strikes did not increase apparent mass.
And so that's just one significant limitation with nunchucks, as well as many other criticisms I have in other videos. Yet, it's better than nothing, just like a rock is better than nothing. And so if you didn't have access to a mighty stick or a very stylish one that you can just walk around with you, that we should bring back into popularity. I think we should totally make it a more acceptable fashion accessory. The walking stick, the staff, look how it suits a suit. It's very suitful to a suit when you're wearing a suit, because it suits it.
My man Donnie Yen? Yeah. He knows what's up.
And you bring it back. It's awesome. But let's now have a look at some of the exchanges in John Wick to see if a stick really would have substituted just as well in the fight scene. We have some of the choreography in the behind the scenes, and this isn't footage from the film, although we have found some footage from the film that we've been able to find online that we might be able to have a look at. And so he dodges under, and simple strike. He has the nunchucks held up like so. So he reverses the grip. Instead of going to the conventional hit like that, he actually lets go of this hand, swings it around, and does a hit like that. So it's going here, here. So could you do that with a stick? When you're in this position, well, instead of bringing it around like that, you just slide down and hit. So yes, most definitely, one-for-one substitute, and the stick would have more mass and power behind, especially two-handing it. Like, remember, two-handing it increases your force usually by 50%. One strike, he deflects down. It's hard to see exactly. Oh, yeah, we see it here. It's a single deflection down, but Mr. Wick, I'm sorry, I was just Mr. Wick. Anyway, Mr. Wick, John Wick, he's using two hands on nunchucks, something that you rarely see done. It looks like he's going sideways, down like that. Almost hit my nuts. That's what happens when you use nunchucks, because you can't control the... Look, you can with follow-through, but it's not 100%, okay? I've seen experts who have practiced with nunchucks ages still hit themselves. One of the problems. So, you don't usually see two people use two hands on nunchucks. And I find it interesting that even martial artists who train nunchucks rarely use two hands on them. And I get the impression that perhaps they just intuitively kind of figure out that doing a hit like that and a hit like that, like even when you try and put as much force in it, you can feel that you're not really getting that any extra force behind it. And so people just usually default one-handing nunchucks. And even though John is using two here, tests have been done, Wushu engineers looked at this. Again, the increase of power two-handing nunchucks is so negligible, don't even bother considering it. But two hands on something a bit more solid, yeah, he could absolutely have followed through where he did a hit like that and he wants to do a downway with its hit to disarm someone. And if they're too close, you can just choke it in. But the big question I would have here, okay, it's got a gun. So it is, first and foremost, he wants to disarm them. He could go for the head, but then you're left with the gun. So you might just want to take out the gun. Okay. So he strikes down. And look, two hands again. Look at this. Wind up, smack down like that. Okay. This overhand strike like this would be way more devastating with a stick. Absolutely. And all the follow through, okay, these are, very nimble kind of weapons, and you can do flashy things with them. Get it in there. And so, yes, a strike ways out. Not only could a stick replicate this move, it would be vastly more powerful. I understand he's using what he has available, and throughout the course of this scene, there's lots of stands with different weapons, and he grabbed nunchucks because they're available. But if there was a stick available, he would be more effective with it. Absolutely. So far. And he's fighting in an interesting way. He is not doing the flashy stuff. He is doing straightforward strikes. And it's like this, just straightforward down a strike. I kind of like it. It seems a bit more realistic because I've had to look at nunchucks in actual combat. People trying to use them in combat. No one does the flashy stuff when they're really fighting. They just try and use it basically like a flail with heavy strikes. Just bang, 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 bang. But when they can get, if someone rushes them, nunchucks are almost useless, like when you're grappling, because there's no structure here. It's hard to jab. And if you, like, one of the problems with nunchucks, if you strike something and the rope hits first, right? Doesn't matter. Like, you can hit as hard as you can. You don't feel it because the torque is taken away by the rope. I'm breaking these things. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because nunchucks are crap anyway, so it doesn't matter. I need those. Why did I throw them away? I was hitting myself hard enough to break these things, okay? And you don't feel it, okay? That's one of the issues with nunchucks grappling close quarters. You can say there are difficulties close quarters, but you can still, do so. Like if I tried to whack someone, say they're grappling here, over into their back, I reckon you could still crack a rib and stuff with a stick. Not as easy with nunchucks. So downway strike knocks the guy out. The other guy's coming in with a gun, one-handed strike this time, and it's just downways like that, like so. Could you do the same with a stick? Absolutely. And probably have more power. Like, one-handed strikes are a bit more analogous, a bit closer. But if you're using something like a self-defense walking cane, you have a bit of a situated mass. It's a mace. You have an actual club right here. You might say, is this a fair comparison? Because, it's not the similar weight and mass as the nunchucks. But I mean, appropriate possible weapons in a John Wick scenario. A serious business, stylish cane like that suits the suit. I think it matches or suits it rather well.
Just like Donnie Yen with his walking stick, and yes, I know it's a sword cane, but he still uses it as a stick in combat. Also, I find it both humorous and telling that when John Wick comes across a sword while still having the nunchucks on his person, he instantly defaults to using the sword. Everyone intuitively knows that the nunchucks are not a good weapon when compared to many other weapons, especially something as useful as a sword. Like, seriously, if nunchucks are so great and phenomenal, why didn't he just keep using the nunchucks then? Because we all know nunchucks are actually one of the last option weapons. Like, say, when most other superior weapons are outlawed and you have to use nothing but farming implements.
And he follows through, coming in with a big... Oh, okay, yeah, this would definitely hurt. He's got wind up, momentum, throwing his weight into it. He's just all the way down like that. Yeah, that would hurt someone. Absolutely with nunchucks. Nunchucks can, crack skulls. Sticks can bust them open. And so if he did like a wind up, full momentum, lean in strike with a stick like that, just, it would kill the guy. So knocks him down. Interesting. Low kind of jabby attack. Hitting, the guy seems to pretend he gets hit before he gets hit, and it's just a stunt thing. The thing is, I find it interesting that he didn't fall down from that hit. There are a lot of types of strikes with the nunchucks, especially the type of strike where John does here, where he's kind of coming in like that to the side, wouldn't knock someone off their feet. In fact, there's a lot of types of strikes from the nunchucks that you could tank if you know where to position yourself. I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt you, but a good self-defense weapon, in my mind, is one that has the potential to nullify a threat in one blow. Okay? Nunchucks really struggle with that. But can you nullify someone one blow with a really... Now you might say, what if you got a really solid strike with nunchucks or nullify someone? Depends. It depends. It's harder to do. And it's easier to do, especially with two-handed strike. Remember, 50% more power at least, right? With a stick. My strike here, he grabs him and throws him. Okay, I think I saw this. And then he starts to pummel him again and again. This one is in the trailer where it's just kind of down hit, down hit. Now, you would struggle to match the speed of nunchucks, and people might say, haha, checkmate, right? But there's ways to mitigate that. One of the reasons why nunchucks can be faster is they have less mass, which means they hit with less power, okay? And you can get fast enough, especially if you choke it up and you have a bit of a counterbalance, so you can just hit fast enough, okay? And equivalent power as well. Is he throwing his gun? It's hard to see. But it's kind of hard to see that one. Deflection, but two-handed strike again. Over the shoulder. Yes. But I do like the choreography here. It's more brutal, straightforward, no flashy stuff. Just trying to get as much power as possible with the nunchucks, even going so far as using two hands. You don't really get an increase of power, though. But, I mean, putting in a lot of that. Look at that downward strike. Oh, yeah, that would hurt someone, absolutely. Yeah, that was a spin. That was a wind-up. Let's have a look at this. It's probably better doing this than the actual in-film footage because we see the whole take from a long shot, so we can see things better. So he literally winds up. He goes one. It was one and then two like that. Okay, yeah, that's fun. That's cool. Completely unnecessary. The extra momentum you get out of the swing, probably not a lot. And you would get, if you just brace yourself further back and all the way up. Yes, a stick would do better, okay? In every single exchange. Okay, so yeah, this is the trailer footage, I think. This is actually where it goes bang, bang, bang. It was just a kind of like a spinning bang, bang, bang kind of thing. Okay, so we have some kind of prep work, practice stuff. I actually don't know if this choreography ends up in the film, but this is an interesting thing. This legitimately could be something that nunchucks win here. He is able to rest them around his neck, just like this, which puts it easily on hand available when he needs to switch to use them. Is there an easy way you can rest a stick? No, not really. So, okay. Point to the nunchucks. If you add like a lanyard, I've done this oftentimes, just like a little cord that loops around your wrist so it hangs there, so it frees up your arms, solves the issue, but nothing immediately easy on hand. You could, I don't know, like, maybe you can still walk around. It's a little bit more difficult, but it's there. Is there a stick in my pocket? Am I just happy to see you? So he has his gun, he's out of ammo, he throws it, and then he grabs them. So there's that. And then he brings it down and he does an interesting exchange where so it goes pop, pop, spin hit, just like that. Can we replicate this with a stick? So it would be pop, pop, hit, all right? And you're probably, depending on, like you'll want the stuff, so bang, bang, bang. I think we can replicate that, yes. So this is an interesting exchange where it's for choreography. Like you're not getting the best utility out of the nunchucks as a striking weapon. It's almost kind of using them as, I don't know, weird knuckle dusters. I know not real knuckle dusters, but his striking power is going to be about as equivalent as he can generate with his fists here. He's just something more solid to hit them with, hence a bit more analogous to knuckle dusters. So he comes over, knocks it aside, hits it aside, then jabs, then hit. So with stick, it was a hit aside, jab, bang. Well, he actually cut it because it was a hit aside, jab, and then he would spin around with nunchucks, like so. Hit aside, jab, spin hit. which you can do. You go hit aside, jab, spin, hit. Okay, so here he spins it up, around, underarm. Okay, so this is more nunchuck maneuvering, where it seems like he spun it up and around here and then came out and hit like that. You don't need to do that with a stick, because one of the advantages, nunchucks you have to reset into, kind of stance positions to load up a strike. So you're here, you want to get ready for another strike, so you bring it around, ready for there, or you bring it underneath your arm, so he just brings it around like this, then load, because in that position, you're ready to strike. This is a good striking position where you're there, and you can spin it out, back under, and you can do all, so one of the disadvantages though, because you can more easily strike in multiple positions, with a stick, and so you don't need to do it all like that. But if you wanted to, you could, where you bring it around under your arm and then hit like that, like so. You could do it. So he comes in, knocks aside. Again, you would actually, in terms of these kind of motions, you would get more power out of a stick than the actual nunchucks. And then it was a strike across the jaw, then uppercut like so. Oh, he does something interesting here. Though, even though you wouldn't be able to replicate this with a stick, he's not doing much. He's just pushing both ends into the opponent to push them back. You'd actually get more leverage when you double hand and push something in like that with, you know. All right, yeah. Moving aside, crossways strike, not a problem. All right, he did something here. He wraps, but he doesn't fully grapple. He just pushes. So he almost did it. Where something's coming in and he kind of wraps it around, but then doesn't try and grapple with it, which is one of the things that you can do with nunchucks. The question is, would you go for a grapple versus another strike? In a lot of instances where you try and grapple with nunchucks, you could have actually withdrawn and just did another hit. And it goes the same if you're using a different weapon. Instead of the time that it would have taken to grapple with nunchucks, right, you can just go back and strike again. And because he doesn't go for a grapple here, what he does, you could definitely get away with another weapon. All right, here we have a very interesting strike. I think this is a point for the nunchucks, honestly, where is very close in like this, okay? His arms are withdrawn, and then he spins it down to do a very quick hit like that. From this position, where the nunchucks are like this, you wouldn't be able to get away with a strike, but you wouldn't put yourself in that position to begin with, where basically it's like this. You could kind of whip it out, like hit like that, right? But you wouldn't want to be in that position to begin with. But even if you're withdrawn, you still have a lot of options to strike. So even though this is a specific move the stick can't replicate, you would be in a position in which you would be able to strike with a stick, because you wouldn't be in that position with a stick anyway to begin with. Interesting. Here we go. We get to a grapple. So all the things leading up to this, you could definitely do with a stick. So he jabs in, okay, withdraws and then pushes forward. Then after pushing forward, he spins around, does another jab. Yeah, so we're all good. Then he spins back, wraps around the head to do a throw. Ooh, okay. So remember how I was talking about grappling. The question is, would you go for a grapple if you could just follow up with another strike? So why would you bother throwing in the first place? Because the lead up right here, he jabs and then he spins around, and see where the nunchuck is coming in from? That could be a strike. You could just smack him in the head again. But instead, it's for the flashy, choreography. But in an actual practical fight, why would you go for a grapple in this position instead of just strike him again? The guy was open, he was standing there waiting for it, and you're literally spinning back in that motion anyway. So you could have just whacked him across the head, knocked him out, probably would do more damage than he's able to achieve by wrapping around, grappling, and going for a throw. Looks great for choreography, but if we are looking at the practical utility between nunchucks and sticks, I think going for the grapple, because you can grapple with nunchucks, isn't necessarily the better option, okay? Again, in a lot of situations where you're able to perform a grapple with nunchucks, you could have executed a strike with the nunchucks or with just, another weapon. And look at, big two-handed, down, swing, up, player. What do you think? Just saying. And then look, that was, some some competent yet basic flourishing. He spins around and he does the grab thing where he's like there, and then, so what, he goes there, and then is he doing some reverse kind of striking where it's like, yeah, so that was just an overarm and then double spin, and he's just doing, you know, that standard kind of nunchuck flourishing. You don't get away doing that in the midst of fighting. And if it's just fighting, you're just more just solid hits, which is what we see, and it looks cool. Interesting stance where it's just like, got it like that. Downway strike, sideways strike. I don't know why. Why did you do this, John? Oh, it's to pick up the gun. Okay, wait. There, yes, he's leaning down to pick up the gun, but, look. Far be it from me to correct the great John Wick, but I'm going to anyway. So when he goes down to pick it up, instead of rolling around, I'm just saying, you could probably do that. I'm just saying it looked like an easier, quicker move than breakdancing. Okay. He's there, and he does this. And the nunchucks are there on hand for him to search aside. Could you do that with... No. I guess if he balances well, like this isn't too bad, where it's like... Stick back scabbard. Guess if you really wanted to get away with it, it's not terrible. So, he is dual wielding now, gun and nunchucks. And the fact that he was able to have the nunchucks hanging from his neck is I'll give it to the nunchucks. They're more convenient to carry. That is a point in their favor. Unless he can just like shoot, and he has this on hand to do all the hitting, shoot. Because you can dual wield stick and gun. What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think nunchucks just makes them like universally better in this scenario? Because if you really need to, you can do that. Or do you think that this is mostly the ability to do that is mostly unnecessary if it's John Wick? Could he have just braced himself like this? And do you think John Wick could have dual wielded stick and gun just as well to even as effective, combative ability, or greater, be more deadly with dual wielding stick and gun versus nunchucking? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think people will go for what's flashy because nunchucks are fun. Oh, was that right in the nuts again? It was. Merciless, John. Okay, dual wielding, and that look what he did then was just like straight strike. Look, yes, you can dual wield. You can do it with a stick. I do like the way he's fighting with the nunchuck still. Just he lost his gun now. Here's a bit of a grapple, and another grab. All right, that grapple you could do with a stick. This one, same question. Could you have just gone for a strike, which would be more damaging to the opponent, than trying to go for the grapple? We're in the nuts again, John. Come on, you're killing him anyway. Why do you have to give him a ball buster at the same time? They're just innocent henchmen trying to murder you. So we're going to call it there because we went through the entire fight. It's a long one. We would be here for ages. And a lot of the observations are kind of repeating itself. The way he's fighting with it is, I honestly prefer. I think it's more realistic. And the fun experiment here, I think most, not all, but most of the stuff you could get away. You could have fought with a stick and been not only as effective, but more effective. I know you didn't have one available, and if you have nothing else, sure, it's better than nothing. You'll be able to hit harder with that than his bare fists, and it was available. He grabbed it. It's a fun fight scene. Go to town, just like you can enjoy Jackie Chan fighting with an imperfect weapon, a step ladder or a stool. You can enjoy John Wick using crappy nunchucks because there's I'm teasing. They're fun, okay. But it was the only thing available. I wonder what John would be like. John, if in that same situation, if you saw the nunchuck, well, he'll go for his flashy, wouldn't he? He likes the flashy things. But we need more stick appreciation because these can be flashy and they're stylish. Look how stylish they are, John. Look how it matches your suit. Don't you love the suit? And anyway, maybe we'll convert John to it a bit later. If there is another John Wick movie, of course. Look, thank you everyone for watching. It's always been fun, as usual. I appreciate you guys. If you want to support the content here, it means more now than ever before. Like, genuinely, our memberships are now available on Shadowversity, as well as there's options through Patreon and Subscribestar. Thank you to everyone who is supporting us. And of course, we hope to see you again on the next video here on Shadowversity. So until that time,